What's going on, you guys? I hope you guys are doing just fine. This is Ron here with your stimulus check update, your stimulus package update, as well as related news update. It's a late one, it's Friday, but I got a lot of news to share with you guys. I know that a lot of you guys have been desperately waiting for the latest developments on President Biden's stimulus check package. In fact, I'm seeing recurring comments from some of you guys asking, when can we see the next round of stimulus checks? When can we see the third round of stimulus checks, right? And today I've got new information that could point us toward a timeline on the arrival of the $1,400 stimulus check. Also, reports are saying that parents are set to be some of the biggest winners in President Biden's stimulus proposals. Now, what do I mean by that? We'll find out later in this video. And we have also heard from Press Secretary Jen Psaki today regarding the third stimulus check. She was interviewed today by news reporters and provided the latest updates on that matter.
Next week, the president will continue his engagement with both parties and with people across the country about the need to pass the American Rescue Plan.
So be sure to stick around as Jen Psaki provides us with the latest update on the third stimulus check. And finally, I'm going to share with you guys how filing your tax return early could affect your third stimulus check. Yes, that is really a thing. And if you want to know when would be the best time to file your annual tax return so that you get the biggest stimulus check possible, then definitely stick around because I'll be giving some answers on all of that in just a little bit. But first, I want to say welcome back to all my subscribers. I really appreciate you guys. And for those who are brand new to the channel, my name is Ron. We cover all things personal finance, investing, how to generate multiple streams of income, and of course, stimulus check updates and stimulus package updates. So if you haven't already, definitely subscribe to the channel and tap the notification bell so that you know as soon as I release new videos and content. But let's go ahead and jump right into this. Last month, President Biden laid out his $1.9 trillion relief package meant to accelerate the economy's rebound from the coronavirus recession. And that legislation's most talked about elements include the $1,400 direct payments, also known as stimulus checks, which, by the way, many Americans are eager to see, and an expansion of federal unemployment insurance benefits. But did you know that another part of the relief package could actually give qualifying families more money than the direct payments? And I'm not even kidding you guys. We're about to talk about this child tax credit, and more specifically, the changes that were made to it. We actually have Howard Gleckman, who is the senior fellow at the Urban Brookings Tax Policy Center, to confirm that for us. He said that the child tax credit is going to be more important to many families than the economic impact payments, also known as the stimulus checks. And here's why. We all know that the current tax credits provide $2,000 per child up to the age of 17. But this new bill that we're talking about would actually give millions of families at least $3,000 per child in monthly payments. And this would run an entire year. That's a pretty hefty boost to the current amount. That's an extra $1,000 per child. Now, the full credit would apply to the following people. We're talking about individuals with up to $75,000 in adjusted gross income, also known as the AGI, right? Also, head of households up to $112,500. and joint filers up to $150,000. However, regarding the phase out, what you need to know is that it would start at $200,000 for individuals and $400,000 for joint filers. That's what the reports are saying. Now, this enhanced child tax credit bill was actually introduced by Massachusetts Democratic Representative Richard Neal in order to help combat rising poverty rates. And in fact, researchers at Columbia University projected that this plan could cut the child poverty rate in half. 50%, isn't that huge? So because of that, both the Biden administration and the Democrats have expressed their support for the bill and said that they're likely to press for a permanent extension later on this year. However, we still don't know if that's really going to happen or if this is just all talks. But what we do know for sure is that the enhanced child tax credit is housed within the American Rescue Plan and needs to pass by both the House and the Senate. And for this to pass, it will definitely need support from both parties. But what I can guarantee you guys right now is that there is already a good number of Republicans and Democrats in favor of this bill. So I guess we really could see this thing come about. And after all, the proposal could bring 9.9 million children closer to or above the poverty line. That's according to the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities. Now, I truly want to see the enhanced child tax credit get approved. I know for a fact that raising kids is already hard, but nowadays it's even harder because of the pandemic. And I think this child tax credit program would definitely be a great help to those families and parents who are struggling to help keep everything together. So I truly hope to see more developments as the days go by. But you know what? We're probably going to hear more updates on that as soon as we see the $1.9 trillion stimulus package move forward. However, the question is, where are we when it comes to the stimulus talks, right? And what are the latest details regarding this matter? And most importantly, when are we going to see the $1,400 stimulus checks, huh? Well, here's here's everything that we know right now. Right now, congressional leaders are staying optimistic about getting the next stimulus checks out very quickly. Just last Wednesday, House committees started nailing down the final details of the legislation. You've got Democrat Representative Richard Neal, who is also the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee. He said, over the next many hours and days, we will debate legislative proposals that are immensely important to the American people. They are proposals that many of our families and neighbors need to be able to stay afloat in this incredibly challenging time. So that's what we can expect to happen in the next few days. More debates, more talks. However, to give us more clues about the arrival of the next round of stimulus checks, you've got House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. She said that the hope is to wrap up President Biden's COVID relief plan before the end of February. And we're now in what, the second week? So if that's the case, stimulus checks could begin to arrive as early March. That's right, we're getting closer, guys. And now, as promised, we're going to hear from Press Secretary Jen Psaki as she was interviewed by news reporters regarding the third stimulus check and some other sensitive issues. Let's go ahead and listen in.
Finally, in our venture to get you all a week ahead, as detailed as possible, next week, the president will continue his engagement with both parties and with people across the country about the need to pass the American Rescue Plan and get relief to working families and more vaccines into arms faster. He will also continue his outreach to our allies around the world as he restores American leadership and advances our foreign policy for the middle class. On Tuesday, he will travel to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where he will participate in a CNN town hall and take questions from Americans about the issues they are facing every day, including the pandemic and the ensuing economic crisis. Later in the week, the president will convene meetings at the White House about the critical need to pass the American Rescue Plan to support workers in struggling communities. I expect we'll have some more details on those over the coming days. And as I announced yesterday, at the end of next week, the president will deliver remarks at a virtual event hosted by the Munich Security Conference. He will speak on the importance of our transatlantic ties and the need for the United States and Europe to take on global challenges together. With that, Zeke, kick us off.
Thank you, Jen. The governor of Montana announced that he was lifting the state's mask mandate, saying enough vulnerable individuals had already been vaccinated. Has the president had any direct outreach to governors, Governor Jim Forte there, but others, about mask wearing and mask mandates, and why not, if he has not?
I don't have any calls specifically with the governor of Montana to read out, so I can check and see if he's engaged with him directly. The president has been very clear about the impact of wearing masks. He's obviously put in place a federal mandate, as you've referenced, that will ensure that they need to be worn on planes, in certain public places as well, because it could save 50,000 lives. He is open to engaging with Democrats and Republicans, as you all know, governors, mayors, as he did just today, about any issues they have, but I don't have anything to read out on a conversation with the governor of Montana, I should say.
And so if you're a citizen of Montana right now, your governor says you don't need to wear a mask, the president says wear a mask, what should they do?
Well, the president's guidelines are based on, they're not even the president's guidelines, I should say. They're guidelines that are driven by health and medical experts, by the CDC, by doctors and medical professionals who are trying to give clear guidance from the United States federal government on how people can be safe in this difficult time. So we'd certainly encourage people to follow federal guidelines. But again, the president knows this is no easy time, and he is more than happy to engage with mayors and governors who, even those who disagree with him, as is evidenced by the fact that he had a meeting today in the Oval Office.
Ew, man, they really try to pin her against the wall on that question. I was kind of squirming myself, just kind of watching her try to maneuver her way through answering those questions. But honestly, I think she did a pretty good job, but she also gave us some insight about the third stimulus check and stimulus package. So, I mean, according to what she's saying, it definitely sounds like we're still on track. But man, those were some tough, sticky questions. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments. That's the timeline that we have right now. And this could all be possible, especially if we consider the fact that Congress is under a deadline. And remember, by mid-March, existing pandemic benefits are set to lapse. So they have to hurry up and pass this bill before we reach that deadline. Or else millions of Americans are going to lose their benefits that are helping them keep food on the table and a roof over their heads. Anyway, did you know that you could get more stimulus check money if you filed your taxes early starting today? You heard that right. The IRS will begin processing tax returns as of today, February 12th. And though the next stimulus check package has not yet been finalized, the prospect of a third stimulus check gives many taxpayers an incentive to file that 2020 tax return early. And let me tell you that there are actually plenty of good reasons to file your tax returns early this year. So the first one is obvious. You can get your refund faster, right? It cuts down on identity theft, and that's one less thing to worry about for the next few months. Now, add to the fact that for some people, it could actually mean a bigger third stimulus check. How's that possible? Well, let me explain. And of course, this is not tax advice. When the IRS is ready to calculate the amount of your third stimulus check, they will need to know three things. Number one, your tax filing status, how many dependents you have, and lastly, your adjusted gross income, or your AGI. Now, if you file early this year, the IRS will be able to get that information from your 2020 tax return. Now, on the other hand, if you file later, that information will most likely get pulled from your 2019 tax return. Now, because of this, you could actually alter the amount of your next stimulus check simply by timing the filing of this year's tax return. Now, don't get too excited. Now, I have to warn you guys that for some people, filing early could actually result in a lower stimulus check, right? Now, for sure, you don't want to do that, and neither do I, right? So in order to avoid that, you definitely want to listen carefully. And I'm going to try to keep this simple. Now, if any of these things I'm about to mention describe what happened to you in 2020, then you may want to consider filing your taxes early. So the first one is your income was lower in 2020 compared with 2019. Or maybe you had a child in 2020. Maybe you got married in 2020. Or maybe you were claimed as a dependent on someone else's 2019 tax return, but not on anyone's 2020 tax return. Then you might want to file your 2020 tax return as soon as possible. However, pay attention to this, right? So if your income happened to be higher in 2020, maybe you had a death in the family in 2020, maybe you got divorced in 2020, or you can't claim your child as a dependent anymore starting in 2020, then you could actually possibly benefit from waiting to file your 2020 tax return and not rush out to do it. Because if that's the case, you may actually find it more beneficial to allow the IRS to base your income off of 2019. So you see, depending on the exact timing, this could force the IRS to either use your 2019 tax return to process your third stimulus check, or perhaps even your 2020 stimulus check, or perhaps even your 2020 tax return. All depends on your income and your filing status and that whole situation. And of course, this was not tax advice. Definitely seek the advice of your certified public accountant, your CPA, but at least this provides some talking points for you to ask them. And right now, Democrats in Congress are still working on the details of the stimulus checks, including the final income thresholds and the phase-out levels. They're very busy right now, so this is our chance. And if you're one of the people who would actually gain more if your check was based on your 2020 income data, then I wouldn't wait much longer. I would hurry up and file. Take this as an opportunity while they're still finalizing the particulars of the relief payments. That's what I would do while we're waiting on things to move forward. And while you're filing your annual tax return, I'll be sure to keep you guys in the loop on the latest updates on the stimulus checks and stimulus package updates. So be sure to subscribe to the channel and tap the notification bell so that you know as soon as I release new videos and content. I promise to upload new videos real soon, so don't miss out on any of that. But anyway, that is all for this stimulus check update and stimulus package update. If you made it this far, definitely hit the like button. I really appreciate it, and I will see you guys on the next one. Take care.